What's up, everybody? Welcome to Kinda Funny Games Daily for Friday, July 21st, 2017. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside, go ahead and write in to kindafunny.com/KFGD when we ask questions on the show, just like McKenna Matthew did. Oi!
Starting with a question.
I have a few new name suggestions for the Irish Cream Danny O'Dwyer. You kind of sold me up the river, Danny,
a little bit.
A little bit, because you're like, oh, yeah, and Andrew didn't want to say Irish Cream. I understand that.
He watches the show when he's not here.
Of course
you
I
guys.
do. Of course I do.
It's like mom on the security camera.
And then you were like, oh, yeah, this is my respite, blah, blah, blah. And then you let it go. And you're like, I kind of like the name. But no, you can't have it both ways. So here, we're gonna pick a new one for McKenna Matthew. I have a few new names for the Irish Cream Danny O'Dwyer.
Okay.
The fighting Irish himself, Danny O'Dwyer. Thanks, Notre Dame.
Very Boston Celtics.
The shillelagh swinging Danny O'Dwyer.
That's all right.
The incredible Irishman, Danny O'Dwyer. Mr. No Clip himself, Danny O'Dwyer.
Nice.
Some of these are kind of generic, but hey, they're less sexual. Your friend, McKenna Matthew. Now, later on in a question, we have another one that I think's kind of offensive, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
So I'm going to read it aloud, but
I'll let you know.
Let's go. Here we go, yeah.
Start your Friday morning.
Jonathan Crenshaw said, "Hey there, Greg, and the Irish car bomb."
Yeah.
But like, it is a drink. It is a
Here.
drink. Yeah, here it is.
not
where you're
home.
from. Okay.
That's like, ooh.
Okay.
That's like calling like an Oklahoma bomb or something. Like,
okay. Yeah. Okay.
Right?
Well, we all learn something now. So, do you get offended in bars when people order? And not that you get offended, like, oh, your monocle falls out. But I mean, like, was that a weird thing of you moved here and you're like, why is everybody saying this? Like, it's not a big deal.
When I lived in Cork, in the south of Ireland, right before I moved to England, I had an American roommate, and they had moved over and were staying for like 4 months or something during the summer. And we were subletting a room, and it was like cool. And I was like, let's bring him out. And he was like, yes, great. I was like, I've never been drinking in Ireland, and like Irish car bomb is my favorite drink, and I'd never heard of it. And I was like, a what? He was like, an Irish car bomb, and I was like, just never say that ever again here.
Yeah. Also,
what is it? And then he explained it to me, and I was doubly offended because it's fucking disgusting.
It's delicious.
It's like a shot of whiskey and a stout.
No. It's a Bailey's Irish Cream dropped into a Guinness.
Okay, that's not so bad.
Yeah. It's like a milkshake.
Yeah.
The worst part about it, though, is the terror they tell you the first time you do it of like, you have to chug this, otherwise it'll curdle. And
Right.
you're like, oh, okay, well then you have.
Is that true as well?
I guess so. I don't know. I've never seen one hang up.
You've never risked it.
Yeah. No, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, don't say that's a. I'm cool. I've been over here a while,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
You say that to the wrong Irish person.
Sure, Amy Gills just stabs me.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
she'll shillelagh you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, good point. Yeah. So what do you like? You want to be fighting Irish? You want to be shillelagh swinging? You want to be incredible Irishman? No Clip himself. Don't get me wrong. I like publicizing No Clip, but then I feel like I'm gonna have to be like, it's the woman from What's Good Games,
right?
Well, I guess they're all women at What's Good. that doesn't apply at all. I'd have to really think on that one. You can still do it on the weekend.
Can I keep the cream?
Sure.
I like the cream.
All right.
I've come accustomed to the cream.
Who
I have like
hasn't?
Stockholm syndrome with the cream.
Exactly.
It's
now
like,
you love it,
it's
don't
like,
you?
Whip me, spray you.
That beautiful,
Spray me
what a
in.
beautiful boy.
You know,
if you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, this is Kinda Funny Games Daily each and every weekday here on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames or youtube.com/kindafunnygames or podcast services around the globe. We run you through the nerdy news in the video game world and dig into it and give you perspective and stuff you didn't think about, and it's awesome. Everybody loves it. Please subscribe, like, share. If you listen to us on one place, go to the other ones, do the stuff there. Help us get the thing that is this show to different people. Remember, on iTunes, coming up real close on 1,000 reviews, which is a pretty big milestone.
Holy
jeebus. So if you could all just do that if you haven't done it. I did it the other day.
Right.
My review was, I listened to the show even if I wasn't on it.
Nice.
There you go.
That's good.
Go try
Honest.
to find that one from me. Of course.
5 stars.
I'm not going to lie. Yeah, of course I give it 5 stars.
Is that officially called Apple Podcasts now? Is that what they're saying? I don't know.
It's the podcast app. I know.
Yeah,
I don't know how to do that
so,
stuff. Yeah. Whatever.
iTunes. Yeah.
This is back to what we were talking about before the show started of like, PAX Prime is always PAX Prime.
Right.
You can try to call it PAX West, and I'll do it, but it's in my head, I still think of PAX Prime. Yeah, you can't change it.
Alliteration's hard to get away from.
Yeah. Just like this is still Podcast Beyond, technically. Housekeeping notes for you. We have a big old stream Sunday here on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames. Please come hang out with us from 11 a.m. Pacific to 5 p.m. Pacific. We are doing a giveaway stream, giving away literally hundreds of video games while we do stupid challenges and goofy stuff and hang out. And this all builds up to, of course, Kinda Funny Live 3 being released on both of our Patreons at 5 p.m. Pacific. You'll get an unlisted link that you can come watch live alongside us. We're not doing like the Mystery Science Theater. We're not talking over it, but we'll be in the chat watching along with you, and then you have you have the on-demand access to the actual YouTube video for a week before it goes live for everybody.
That's great. This is like way earlier than you've done before, right?
100%. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. That's why this is an event. It's like a pay-per-view for us. Like, we're trying to make something out of it because Tim is currently not here because he's finishing the edit, trying to get it all done. And if you saw the trailer up there, really beautiful footage. Like lots of different camera angles. It's really impressive.
I love that idea of having everyone like being able to enjoy it at the same time, because like so many of you, especially with something like that, everyone's going to watch it right away.
Yeah.
So then having like sort of, I don't know, facilitating that conversation is like a really cool.
Well, I mean, the thing about Kind of Funny Live, and this wasn't meant to be an ad. You're just
sorry,
asking questions. Is the fact like a Kind of Funny Live for us every year is this thing of coming together, and the community actually meets and is with each other, and we enjoy this awesome thing together.
Yeah.
However, we understand that that's such a small fraction of the community. So how can you kind of share that with everybody else who is Kind of Funny fans or best friends, and bring them together like this? Hopefully.
Yeah.
We'll see. I know we're up against Game of Thrones in multiple time zones, so I understand. You can watch the on-demand version later. For now, let's jump into what is and forever will be the Roper Report. Time for some news. You got to keep the
I don't
dudes
know.
through.
You looked at me in a way that I was like, oh, I think he wants me to
You're
cut
doing
off.
great, Kev. I love you. You're good. Well, now it's too late now. You have to keep going. We have 5 items
A baker's dozen!
on the Roper Report this Friday. Number one of the best times each month.
Right.
NPD is out for
It's
last
the
month.
most wonderful time of the month.
NPD for June 2017 is out. The top 10 games are as follows: 1 to 10. Tekken 7.
What?
Injustice 2, Grand Theft Auto 5. Number 4 is Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. This is parentheses then. This is impressive, number 1, of course, because this has only been out for 2 days then, and it got to number 4 on the NPD number. And then Activision says it was the top-selling physical console game worldwide in the month of June.
Wow.
Put a pin in that. We're coming back to that one. Number 5 was ARMS, which is interesting because, of course, ARMS. This is only physical, no digital. So,
Right.
like, ARMS is charting that well in number 5. Number 6, Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. Number 7, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Number 8, Overwatch. Number 9, NBA 2K17, one of the games that will never stop.
Right.
And number 10, Horizon Zero Dawn.
That's amazing. Overwatch is still selling box copies. Like that's like it's been a year and a bit.
Sure.
Like, since that, or maybe
But
a year since June.
people are just slowly tumbling into it, right?
Right,
They're just
yeah.
like, well, now it's an esport, and now this, and now people are talking about it. I guess I should jump in. And do
you
it.
know that weeks before Evo, those 2 fighting games are right at the top as well. It's
Yeah.
it's pretty awesome.
Over at IGN, Seth G. Macy points out the following tidbits. The best-selling game for the year so far continues to be Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands, but Breath of the Wild has moved into number 2, a spot previously held by For Honor, which slipped to number 3 for 2017 so far. Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, quote, had a strong debut, reaching number 4 on the month's top seller chart, despite only having 2 days on the market.
Right.
NPD said in its release, it's the first time a Crash game debuted in the top 5 since 1998's Crash Bandicoot Warped.
Right.
Now, here is where it gets interesting. Danny O'Dwyer, my Irish cream. Tekken motherfucking 7.
Yeah.
Number 1. Would not have predicted that.
No, not at all.
And I think it speaks to what we're always talking about. In the same way, Ghost Recon Wildlands is the most popular. There are so many micro communities that it is impossible to keep track of video games and actually have, here's what I think is going to happen. Here's what's going to be the most important thing, or how this game's going to do. Because like if you were to ask me, I would say, and I know Kevin played it recently on a stream with Andy, that Wildlands does have an audience. It is interesting, but I would have told you, like, based on my experience and the build up to Wildlands, that and I'm saying taking away what we know from NPD, that would have been like, it was a meh. It was a mess somewhere.
Flash in the pan.
It's still the best selling. It's still out there. People are still going.
Right.
And let alone the fact that Tekken came around and I was like, I'm not a fighting game fan, true, but like Injustice I know is killing it.
Right.
I know people are excited for the Marvel vs. Capcom stuff, but Tekken totally seemed like a game that was just like, oh, well, they're making another Tekken. Good for them.
Like and Tekken 7 has been available in like arcades since like 2015, I think. So like it's not even like it's like particularly fresh.
Sure.
Like it's just accessible for people for the first time in a while.
Yeah.
I mean, it was PUBG we'll talk about later. Like that's been selling buckets as well. That's
Hotcakes,
millions and millions of playing that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's becoming just increasingly difficult to like zone in on what's popular. Like games like Ark, like there's just these games that seemingly people are still playing, and like with sales, it's even stranger because especially with a game like Wildlands, which we expect still the like AAA boxed game thing to be a very like whoop whoop, like it had its moment in time, and then the tail on it sort of disappears relatively quickly. Again, like Zelda, I mean, as long as they keep selling Switches, I feel like that game's going to keep selling as well.
And that's what I think is fascinating about if you want to talk about the Nintendo side of this, is that 5, 6, and 7 are ARMS, Zelda, and Mario Kart, and you really do wonder. And I understand that, like, Switches are still hard to come by, but how much of that is motivated by, okay, ARMS is here, so we're going to put out more units of the Switch. I'm in there to buy ARMS. ARMS for some reason is motivating me, and here I am, I'm going to buy Mario Kart as well. I'm going to buy Zelda as well.
It's like for years, Wii Sports was bundled on the European Wiis, but for years, if you looked at NPD numbers, Wii Sports was always in the top 10.
Yeah,
and it was because they were selling them in bundles at stores. Like they were like,
what would there was the follow up to Wii Sports but it came with another Wii
Sports Resort, or you're right.
Remember that
it came with the
Wii Party. Remember, if we're wrong, we don't look at the chat. So you tell us over at kindoffunny.com/you're wrong. We go through at the end to correct us, keep us honest. There was that Wii Party game collection that came out, and it was like the easiest way to get another Wiimote. So everyone bought that thing and had it. That it was charting forever and ever.
And twisted the numbers.
Yeah.
The other thing I really like looking at when it comes to MPG numbers, because this came across a lot with when I worked in retail, is box art for stuff. And it's really funny. If you look at the Ghost Recon Wildlands box art, it's kind of the same as Zelda.
You got some clouds in the background
it's
there?
It's like somebody looking over a massive vista.
Kevin, do we have Skycam available?
Like the back, if you've got it
If you tilt your thing up here, you can bring it over here. That's
it's
what
like,
Kev usually does for it.
It's basically, it's that whole trope of,
there you go.
Person standing.
The person with their back to the camera, a beautiful vista in front of them, mountains, and there's Zelda. Pretty much the same thing. But that's how it always works. Remember when it was everything was the bald-headed male protagonist coming at you with a gun at his side, and
like Skyrim was like the same thing, but with an axe.
Exactly. It's funny. It's funny. First off, that you can only do so much with box art, but then it does move in waves where it's just like this is what it's all about.
Blue, orange and teal, still killing it there as well.
Yeah.
Wildlands to me looks like a game if I was walking it off the street that I would like propagate to as well.
Sure.
And it's interesting because it's not a game that's like set the world on fire. Like it seems to be a solid game, but it's not doing anything particularly new maybe. But to see it selling in retail that consistently, I think, because it came out in March as well, so that means it's had more time than
What's
Horizon.
interesting about it, I feel, is that I wonder if Zelda's going to catch up and pass it, because Wildlands is maybe steamrolled out those first few months, but now it's not in the top 10, where Zelda continues to be.
Yeah,
and so that's the question now. I guess actually, it's probably impossible for Zelda to catch it, because you'd have to get more Switches out into the market, then let alone that Wildlands is PS4, Xbox One, PC. Like there's too big of a swatch there of people.
I'd
playing.
love to know what the percentage of people who own a Switch have Zelda. Do you think it's that, or maybe which one do you think is the highest selling game? Could it be Mario Kart? Maybe.
Oh no, it's Zelda for sure.
You think it's Zelda?
Right.
For sure?
We'll remember that. Based on this, even what they're saying here, Breath of the Wild has moved into number 2 spot.
Right, of course. Yeah.
But also the fact that remember the attach rate that first time, or when they put it out, it was that Zelda had sold. Kindoffunny.com/you're wrong.
Right.
It had sold. It was more.
Like 60% or something.
Zelda had sold more copies than there were Switches sold.
Yes.
It was just the fact that people were buying it digitally and then also buying the collector's edition or doing whatever. Yeah, Zelda for sure is, and that'll be interesting to then see. Life to date, I assume Mario comes out and that's the one that blows this out of the water. But I don't think it does it in the first year. But I mean, by year's end.
And I really do think that as long as they get the supply out there, the Switch looks like it's going to be the console du jour come holiday. Of
course,
it's had basically a year of total praise. There have not been negative stories around the Switch.
Sure.
It's unfathomable that a Nintendo console came out and nobody's shit talking it. Even respect.
Now, it's funny. One of the Kind of Funny best friends, David Burke, tweeted me this morning, and it's the image of Vita, voice chatting on Vita, circa 2011 or whatever, voice chatting on the Switch, and it's like the million things, the phone hooked up, and it's there's plenty of reasons to be oh man, the Switch, but it's none of them matter because the games are great and it's fun to have it on the go and everything.
You're right. It even gets away with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because of all the goodwill that
exactly.
Good, easy. What a price point as well. You have Microsoft coming out and saying it's going to cost X amount for their Xbox One X, and then this is still floating around the $300 mark. You can get a package of games with it for $350. So
sure.
Yeah. I don't know. It's great. There's so many games on there that you're so happy they're doing well. I'm delighted Horizon is still in the top 10.
Yep.
I adore that game. It's fascinating. Grand Theft Auto 5 is still selling at retail. Like, I don't know what are like 17-year-olds always turning 18 and their parents are finally
Apparently.
like, go ahead.
Yeah. You figure, okay, it's summertime. You're leading into that. All your friends are going to play online.
Right.
I have no idea. But what's really fascinating, outside of the fact that Tekken just caught me off guard and shows that I really know shit about fighting games and like how big a fighting game fan base is the fact that Crash did so well in 2 days.
Yeah.
In 2 days. That's
nuts.
all it had. It had that Friday and that was it. I'm blown away by that and I wonder what that does mean. And is that there is a Crash fan base there that would love a new Crash, or is it that there is enough Crash fan base of like, man, I've wanted to replay those and that's it.
Yeah.
Don't try to give me a new one, but like, you know what I mean? What does Activision and Sony take away from this?
Yeah, I wonder if the fact that it is that trilogy, it almost has like a collector's edition feel to it. Like you have people who grew up playing Crash Bandicoot are now in their, late 20s, 30s, disposable income. A package comes out that's like, you know what, I'll get around to playing this, but I just want to have it because it's cool. Like I'd do that for some
Sure.
of my favorite games. If they re-release Monkey Island in a box, I'd probably pick it up and maybe I won't even play it. I don't know.
100%. There's that nostalgia factor
Yeah.
to it too. And it's one of those, if they really wanted to get nuts, right? Put out Crash Bandicoot, same thing. And the next story is actually about a new level for it.
Right.
But some kind of like collector game of the year edition, but put it out in the PlayStation 1 looking box.
Totally.
Like what they did at PlayStation the other a couple weeks ago that got so much press or whatever.
Yeah, was that
People
like
would flip out.
were they actually selling that or was that?
No, that was just
it
like,
was just a
hey,
tweet or
internal.
something?
It was internal PlayStation employees. Here's your copy.
Oh, that's great.
But they made it look like it was the PlayStation 1
Yeah.
case and stuff. If you put a game of the year out like that,
That'd be
I know it's
amazing.
going to cost more, but hey, I bet a large majority of the people who already bought it would buy it that way too, just to have on their
Like
shelf.
Put it in the platinum box.
Yeah,
It'd be
exactly.
like,
yeah,
platinum.
exactly. Speaking of Crash Bandicoot,
Yeah.
number 2 on the Roper Report is a story that comes from GameSpot.
What up, GameSpot?
Over there's a new level and they're talking about it. It turns out a super hard level that was cut from the original Crash Bandicoot is finally set to make it into players' hands today, more than 20 years after the game's release. Everyone will finally have the opportunity to die countless times on the level Stormy Ascent, as Vicarious Visions has announced a DLC pack that adds it to Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. Ooh. Stormy Ascent is available now on the PlayStation Store. It will be free during its first month of availability, and after that, players will be able to purchase it for $3.
Wow, that's kind of cool.
One of those interesting things of this happened at the Comic-Con panel. They did a Comic-Con panel there about Crash, and it was Vicarious Visions and some of the people from Naughty Dog who originally worked on it.
That's great.
And they're talking about this was an incomplete level that that they had been working on it, and I think it was that it took the first people who were playing it that made it 60 lives to beat and all this crazy shit. So they're like finally going to put it out. It's fascinating because this is a game I would have thought is out, and it's out.
Yeah.
No DLC, nothing else going for it.
Yeah.
But like here we are still talking about it. Here we are getting NPD numbers that are insane
Right.
for it. And it's that thing. If they had a Comic-Con panel, which I think for some people, this isn't to put anybody down, because I'll use myself as an example, right? In the fact that if I want a PAX panel, I got a PAX panel. That's
Right.
no problem. You know what I mean? But Comic-Con panels are hard to get. They are we tried when I was at IGN, I tried all the time to get the Comic-Con panels and couldn't do it. It wasn't that kind of thing. And so for you to come in here and be like, yep, Crash Bandicoot. We're doing a Crash Bandicoot panel, and they get it, and I'm sure it was packed, and I'm sure I would think, all right, cool. That's one I wouldn't even like if I'm a fan go to, because they're not going to announce anything new. They're talking about this old thing, and they're not going to announce that and here's a new level and all this jazz. It's very interesting.
I think it's because we have this, nostalgia is such a common thing in video games, and re-releases has become such a common thing as well, that often what we see is a big fanfare around a game, and then it gets released, and it's kind of like a wet fart a bit. Like there's not the vocal minority really talked it up, and then when it comes out, it's like, Shenmue, for instance, like, is Shenmue 3 going to sell a bunch, or was it just people chipping it to a Kickstarter because why not?
It's Mirror's Edge Catalyst. Hey,
Totally,
we want this game, and you get it, and like, okay, that was for a small group of people, and that's why it didn't set the world on fire.
Right, so I kind of expected this to happen with Crash as well, and it's like, hey, you know what, it makes sense, it's first party stuff, or second, Sony has like a vested interest in also like just adding this back to the library. It's like a cool thing for them to do, and it mightn't sell loads, but that'll be good. But I was totally off the mark on this one. Yeah, I didn't expect it at all.
Damn you, Tekken and Crash, making us wrong every day.
Free as well. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah, so get it now. Number 3, and also that's a great point too, of like, if you were on the fence about buying Crash Bandicoot, right? Well, now buy it before this DLC goes away. I guess you can buy it. Technically, you could download the DLC. Well, maybe you can't. Can you download
DLC without having the game?
Yeah, it's not standalone DLC. I bet it would tell you have to buy the game first, and it's another way to keep it going in terms of sales.
Because Crash Bandicoot isn't hard enough.
Exactly. Yeah, nobody's bitching about how hard it is. Number 3 on the Roper Report. Uncharted The Lost Legacy has gone gold. Naughty Dog tweeted yesterday, quote, "We're proud to announce that Uncharted The Lost Legacy has gone gold. We can't wait to get it into your hands beginning August 22nd. I could have probably included this, I guess, maybe in the release date update.
Right.
But I thought we've already talked about the release date, number one.
Yeah.
So the news, of course, is that it's gone gold. Second item of news is that you're sleeping on this game. I'm telling you, this game is going to be far more than I think a lot of people think it is.
Yes.
And to prove it, next week, on Tuesday, Sancho West himself, a kind of funny best friend, went down to the preview event I didn't go to because I was like, can I? They did a preview event for Uncharted. I'm like, can I do direct feed and like a let's play? They're like, no. I'm like, I'll just play it when it gets here then.
Yeah.
And then he went and played it. He's gonna file a preview for us on Games Daily.
Awesome.
It'll be our first ever. We kick to a segment from one of you, a kind of funny best friend, a contributor.
great.
So that's exciting. So,
On video?
Yep.
Wow, that's cool.
He's like, what's up? And talk to us about what he played for like 2 or 3 minutes.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, really cool. I'm excited about it.
Yeah,
And
this game. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, as a shout out to Sancho West, of course, this is the first time I can think of, and I'm sure I'm now insulting someone, maybe even Andy Cortez, but it was the first time ever where I get emails all the time like, I'd love to work for Kind of Funny. Are you hiring? Are you doing this? This is the first time somebody came to me and was like, hey, I have content and I'd like to work with you guys. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. That's an easy decision.
Now you're going to get a lot more of that.
Well, all right, everybody start going to crazy thing. If you're ever going to a Tekken event, file a report on it. I don't know fucking what's happening with it.
You got any Dota people on staff?
Oh, God. Well, Mitch Dyer, I'm sure, would put on a
Right.
fake mustache and talk to me about it forever. What are you going to say about Uncharted? Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I totally think everyone's sleeping on this. I think there's 2 reasons. I think one, everyone assumes it's DLC.
Yeah, exactly.
And they don't think it's going to be, or like it'll be standalone DLC, which then means that it's not going to be particularly long, but
Right.
it sounds like this is actually pretty long.
This is, I think, this is proof of getting in front of your message or getting the wrong message out too early.
Yeah.
Where it was, hey, the season pass gets you story DLC.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, cool, another chapter or 2, whatever. And then, I mean, they've been upfront about this, of course, in IGN interviews where we're talking to Neil of like, well, these guys started working on it. Kurt starts working on it, and it pretty quickly becomes this story's bigger than a DLC thing.
Right.
So we're gonna put it out solo, but still, and put it out for $40, but still honor the people who got it through the season pass, which is really cool
That's
and really
awesome.
insane. But that is a jumbled ass message of how to do that. So like that, it's got a platinum, it's got Uncharted 4 multiplayer. It's only $40. It's gonna be 10 hours, maybe longer, maybe less. You know, depending on how you play. That's all crazy. You're getting a new Uncharted game, and it's not going to sell as much as it deserves to, and it's not going to. At first, people are going to be like, "Oh, cool, the DLC's out," and then I think people are going to play it and be like, "Holy shit, this is an Uncharted game."
That's what they probably need is a lot of fanfare the week it comes out of like, oh my god, this is incredible.
Yeah.
I think the other problem is the Lost Legacy really sounds like it's some sort of throwback thing. Like it doesn't sound like something fresh and new. It sounds like bonus features, like
Sure.
the Lost
The Lost Chapters.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
Here's the thing that happened between here and here. It's like Enter the Matrix or
Yeah.
something. What was going on while you weren't watching, and I think that sort of probably played into the DLC angle,
yeah.
but it's shooting them in the foot, I think, in terms of it being a standalone.
You figure
thing.
it's a hard place to be to work on it, right? I
Yeah.
think, or to work on getting the message out there, because you have to re-message it to the hardest of hardcore players who love Uncharted. You can't put a number on it. It doesn't have Nathan Drake. It's not going to have the ad campaign, I assume, that Uncharted 4 did. You're not going to see this during sporting events, that there's going to be a commercial for this. And so it's going to have to be a groundswell movement of people talking about it. And maybe I'm wrong.Maybe the game comes out and we play it and we're like, oh, it's 5 hours long and it's not as good as any of the Uncharted was. But everything I've seen about it, I've been impressed.
Yeah, the multiplayer is also getting bundled in, I think, right?
Yep, 100%.
So
You get the full Uncharted 4 and multiplayer suite and all the stuff that happened there.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool. I'm excited to get it out there. I'm also excited because it's gone gold. Usually with Sony, that means we'll get it relatively soon.
Soon, right,
Yeah,
okay.
in the next few weeks we should have it, and I won't be able to talk about it. But then it gets cumbersome. When am I getting Patapon? Patapon's August 1st. I got to get through that.
When's that going gold?
I
Gone,
don't
presumably
know.
weeks ago.
Yeah, you'd think so, right? Yeah, you hope so. Jesus. Number 4 is a short one. More Battleground stuff. It's moved another 1 million units. Last month, of course, we mentioned that Player Unknown's Battlegrounds had, or is it Battlegrounds or Battleground? Battlegrounds, just make sure I don't screw it up. They tweeted about, hey, we hit 4 million units. That's great. And now Steam Spy says it's over 5.
5 million, I guess.
Jeez Louise.
6 million, 7 million.
Where's the end?
Right?
Yeah, and that was the thing. The Steam Spy article talked about the fact that at this pace it should move past H1Z1's King of the Kill or whatever, or maybe just H1Z1 period in like 2 months or whatever. But I think that was being conservative at this pace. I think it's actually going to move.
This did that thing that games of this ilk try and do. It's why you saw so many like MOBA-like games coming out where it caught that mainstream gaming or like the wider gaming world and pulled people in who weren't playing that H1Z1 stuff. Everyone is playing.
I think we might try to play it this weekend during the stream, or if not, we're doing something next week. Tim was saying,
cool,
and I'm super excited to play it. And it's like, I don't know if that's going to then grab me and make me start bringing the Origin computer back home because I don't think my service book can run it. But what do I know? But
yeah, it's a fun thing. One of the things I like about it at the start of it is that it pulls you in with like people. I think for like the first. It doesn't really have like stacked matchmaking, I don't think, but I do believe at the start it pulls you in new players as well.
Sure.
Which is good for like sort of getting your feet wet because there's quite a lot of like systems to learn in it. Like opening and closing doors actually turns out to be a really important thing. Like, do you close doors? Because if you close doors, the next person who comes up doesn't think there's anyone in there.
Yeah.
And things like that.
I was reading the patch notes or whatever on one of them, and they were talking about how cars are now randomly like parked in different directions because otherwise you run up and see that this truck is parked with its butt hanging out. So that's not how this.
They used to all be facing east or something.
Oh yeah.
So you could kind of tell. Yeah, that sort of weird metagame stuff going on. But yeah, 5 million. It's crazy. I think they've opened a North American studio, I think, as well now. It's based out of South Korea, and of course, PlayerUnknown himself is Irish. But
get it to consoles. Come on.
I know, right? Crazy.
We talked about it. You get
Apparently
it to Xbox.
They're going to do it by the end of the year.
Okay. We'll see. When that happens, off to the races. Think about that. This is going to turn out to be a huge Xbox One console launch exclusive or whatever the fuck they're calling it and whatever that means, because if they do have it, all of this goodwill, all of the console plebes like myself have heard you coming talking from the angels heaven's up there in your goddamn iron gold throne. Here we
throwing
go.
our stone tablets down.
Saying, here's what we spoke of. And then finally, yesterday was the Marvel Games panel at Comic-Con. Full disclosure, I hosted it, but there was a few announcements there. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite got a few character announcements. Nemesis, Haggard, Spider-Man, and Frank West were all revealed there for the first time. Lego Marvel Superheroes 2, they announced the character of Carnum, which is Carnage and Venom shoved together.
Oh, right.
They got to make their own character for it.
Jeez.
And also the news that I'm Howard the Duck in the game. We have not confirmed the roles of...
Are you really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
At Kind of Funny Live 3, I got to spring it on Nick, Tim, and I don't think I mentioned Kevin then, but Kevin's in it as well. All four of us are in the game as characters.
Oh my God.
They've revealed my character as Howard the Duck.
Oh my God.
And so when we end this, I have about a 30-minute break, and then we all have to do our lines. We have our scripts. We all got to do it. Tim is the only one who's done his so far, and he was really good.
That's right.
The bar is high now. And then also, I didn't see this anywhere else, and I guess it could have gone into new dates, but I'm putting it here because it was there. Guardians of the Galaxy Episode 3 gets an August 22nd release date. They made it sound on the panel like that was news, that hadn't been announced yet. But this morning, I didn't see it in anybody's blog roll, so I don't know if
Have you played those ones yet? The Guardians ones?
Yeah, I played through episode 1. I was like, something doesn't feel right. And then episode 2, I started into, and I was like, I don't want to do this right now. And it's this weird thing of it doesn't feel like the Guardian. It's trying to be James Gunn so much, but it isn't.
Right.
And it isn't that. And so like playing it is super cumbersome.
Like the comedy stuff?
Yeah, the comedy didn't feel right. The characters I don't think look right. It's all these very superficial things for me. I'm just like, this doesn't feel like the universe. However, talking to people about what happens in episode 2, by the end I was like, oh, that's actually a really cool story. Cool. And then the way they pitched episode 3, because it's also, I think it suffers a little bit from not explaining itself as well, where it was like, okay, episode 1 is very much about Peter, and episode 2 it turned out was going to be about Rocket, but I didn't get to that. Right. And episode 3 is a Gamora, and it's like, oh, that's interesting, and like they're all dealing with this forge thing. I think it's called the Infinity Forge, but it's definitely just a forge that can like I don't want to spoil everything, but like it plays with your head. Okay. And so like the conversations and things you're doing were interesting, and I think I'm interested enough to probably go back.
Are they doing 5?
Yeah, they're doing 5. So it's one of those.
Presumably one for everyone. Then.
Exactly. Yeah. I just wasn't in the mood for it, I think. That's why Groot's should be hilarious.
You do need to be in the mood for those types of games as well.
Yeah, exactly. And right now, all I'm in the mood for is Marvel Heroes.
Not
I can't
Persona.
stop. I know. I gotta gorge while I can. Danny?
Oh my God.
That's a release date for for Guardians of the Galaxy Episode 3. But if I want to know what's coming to the mom and grop shops today, where would I go?
You go to the official list of upcoming software on each and every platform as listed by the Kind of Funny Games Daily Show hosts each and every day.
We're just going to change across to on, because that's the only thing that trips you up.
I got it yesterday.
Good job, Cap. Out today, of course, Splatoon 2 on the Switch.
Splatoon.
You going to play it?
I haven't played ARMS yet, and I bought Splatoon like 2 months ago or 3 months ago on Wii U, like an idiot. I don't know why. It was like $6 on Amazon, so I feel like an idiot now for buying this, but yeah probably.
Okay. Yeah, I've popped in and played a little bit, but it was the same thing. Of like, I was on a plane. I'm like, I don't even feel like doing this, and I went and played Minecraft. So.
I've literally never played a game of Splatoon.
Oh, really?
So, but I like what it's doing.
Yeah.
Hey man, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater paint mode is pretty good. So, and I like shooters.
Conga Master has come to Xbox One and PlayStation 4. Super Hot is on PlayStation
Hot.
4, and then the different version, Super Hot VR, is on PlayStation VR today
Get it
as well.
I played it last night.
Really?
I just jumped in. So good.
On
So
PlayStation?
good. On Vive I was playing.
Oh, okay. How long is it?
Oh, I've not completed it, but
Okay.
I think it's probably as long as Super Hot. You know,
Yeah, but it was Super Hot wasn't that long, right? I remember
no, it
being
wasn't that
short.
long.
Yeah, okay.
But the VR stuff, it's just fun to jump in and have a go of it. There's an endless mode as well.
Oh,
so
okay.
there's always that.
And then Fortnite is on Xbox One, PS4. I assume PC. I didn't see it there. But originally, the Kotaku list I usually consult just said Xbox One, but then the PlayStation blog had it was on PlayStation 4 as well.
Yeah, I think there was a split release date on this actually.
Really?
It came
PlayStation
up,
4 said today, and then Kotaku was saying that it was just Xbox. So I just looped them in together.
maybe it was already out. No, yeah, July 25th, early access.
25th.
It says here.
Today's the 21st.
All right, so maybe PC is a couple of days later then.
Okay.
I don't know. Let me look it up.
Go to Fortnite.com.
Yeah.
And see if that's what it is. See what Epic's saying over there. While you do that, I'm going to give you some new dates. Chroma Gun is coming to PlayStation 4 on August 22nd. I urge you to go over to the PlayStation blog and read the post about this. It's actually written really cleverly and funny. But in case you need to know, Chroma Gun is a first-person puzzler about colors. Use your gun, guess what it's called, to colorize droids and walls. Droids are attracted by walls of the same color, and by cleverly utilizing this mechanic, you'll try to solve all sorts of puzzles to make it to the exit. And then over on Xbox One and PC on August 15th, Observer, which is actually greater than sign Observer _.
Oh, no, don't do
It's
that.
launching on August 15th on
Don't do
Xbox
that.
One and PC.
Fortnite is out on all of them. It's technically out July 25th, but if you pre-order it, you get access to
Early access. That's
so it's
what's
early
happening.
access.
Okay.
But it's on all territories and also everything. I think it's also on Mac as well. It's
Like you're gonna play it over
PC / Mac. So yeah, there you go. Unreal Launcher, get it.
Are you interested at all in Fortnite?
I am. I'm morbidly interested,
Sure.
but also I really like the art style of it.
Sure.
For whatever, it's like grabbed me in a way that I wasn't really expecting, and I
Yeah.
really didn't like how it looked before.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
everything I've seen now is like, oh, this kind of looks like snazzy in a way
Yeah.
that like Team Fortress 2 popped to me. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna give it a go.
At Judges Week, I got to watch a demo of it, a live demo of people playing, and
Right.
it was like, oh, this is interesting. This is cool. I like the art style. I like the characters. It is going to sound like an insult, but stick with me. It looked like Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare I wanted to
Right.
play.
Yeah.
Whereas like I tried to play Plants vs. Zombies, I'm like, this isn't for me.
Not
No
into it,
offense to
yeah.
this game. But like Fortnite looked interesting to the point of like, I'd like to try this at some point.
Right.
I'd like to jump into it.
And I like what's going on over at Epic at the moment.
sure.
They have this weird like scrappiness to them with, I mean, Andrea talked to you about Paragon all day, right? Like
Yeah.
that's like an interesting game. Fortnite obviously, and I really like the Unreal Tournament remake they've had on early access or in
Yeah.
their launcher for a while. I've been playing it for a good while. So like, yeah, I don't know. Epic are a strange situation because they got bought over by that, I forget which company it was, a Chinese company, conglomerate, and then they were like an engine house, but then they're not really, and they seem to be sort of not as big as they were, but they have this weird indie edge to them, like a new generation.
Yeah, there's definitely, it feels like there's a renewed spark there, and they're marching in a very specific way.
So that makes me feel like I want to give it a go. Like
Exactly.
I want to give it the benefit of the doubt and
Yeah.
jump in. So I'm probably going to have a go at that this weekend.
Okay. Report back next week.
I will. I'll actually do it this time, unlike what happened with Andromeda.
Yeah, whatever. Deals of the day. There's a PlayStation Network flash sale going on right now. A whole bunch of stuff, including Andromeda's on sale. But right now, they're making a big deal about Batman Arkham Knight's only $10. Batman Return to Arkham is $16. The first 3 Jackbox Party games are $10 each.
Nice.
Rise of the Tomb Raider 20-year celebration for $20. That game's fucking awesome. Psychonauts is $4. And The Order 1886 is $5, which is an easy platinum. So there's another platinum. Save you some dollars.
It's a pretty game. Pretty movie.
Pretty movie.
Good on you.
Yeah, where you go and collect newspapers or whatever.
And their VR game is out then as well, right? What
Yes.
was it?
Oh, yeah.
Both of
Echo
them.
Arena. Lone Echo and Echo Arena.
Yeah.
Echo Arena we talked about on Gamescast
Right.
because we just come back from the multiplayer thing we did there. It's awesome.
And if you're a Vive owner, I think it was in the No Clip Discord we were talking, somebody said that Revive, which is the Vive thing that makes it so you can play Oculus games,
Yeah.
apparently got updated today, so it should be playable hopefully on Vive as well.
That's a good point. I think Lone Echo might be a release date today, too.
I think it is.
Yeah, right.
Somebody mentioned it
Yeah.
earlier.
It's confusing with the embargoes and whatnot. But yes, if you have Oculus, pick up Lone
Do it.
Echo. Ready at Dawn's game. It's really, really good. Right, Kev?
Yep.
Thanks, Kev. We're going to check on the readers now. I'm trying to figure out where do I want to venture in first? Where do I want to start?
I'm going to take a glance at you're wrong and see how we're doing. It's so
Okay.
fresh. There's nothing there. And then a refresh.
So clean. And you feel like we did really good, and you see we did not do really good. Here we go. Yeah, I'll just start at the top. Solid Snape wrote in to kindafunny.com/KFGD, just like you can to be part of the show.
Solid Snape?
Yeah.
That's great.
That's really good,
That's
right?
really
Yeah.
solid. It's like, yeah.
Should old DLC become free after a few years? After snagging an old game for a good deal, it can be disappointing to see its DLC still at full price. I'm talking over 2 to 3 years post-release. Or sometimes you just didn't have the time for the DLC at its launch and would like it later. For example, 2008 Prince of Persia. It's $5 at GameStop for the core game, but one of the DLC levels is still $10 on PSN. Or look at Mass Effect or Fallout, much more beloved games. Buying their DLC piece by piece still is pricey. Can publishers give the content a few years later and maybe stir up some buzz? Thanks. It's interesting.
Yeah.
When I read the question the first time, I was like, no, don't be entitled, blah, blah, blah. And then you read it, you're like, oh, that's actually an interesting point of like, I guess that would be an incredibly smart move if your game's budget now to get out there and be like, hey, you can get it at retail now for $10.
Right.
So we're bringing all the DLCs down. But you figure too that when you say that, the problem I think you run into, and I'm not sure, you're talking about you can pick up Prince of Persia for $10. I doubt you're buying that new. Which means if you're buying it used from GameStop, none of that $10 is going to Ubisoft. Whereas if you buy the DLC, you are 100% paying Ubisoft back. Yeah. And I'm sure there's a balance there to be had too, where I don't want you, well, obviously no publisher wants you to wait until it's used or it's bargain or whatever, or it's used, we'll just say. So going in and then lowering your DLC, it might encourage people to go out and buy it, but it might encourage them to go out and buy, hey, let's buy the cheapest. It'd be more interesting, okay, our game's Prince of Persia 2008's been out, so we're going to make a bundle on PSN and Xbox Live and Steam that's all the DLC, all thing for $10.
Yeah. And
be a way to combat used sales.
That makes great sense. And that also is what they kind of do in retail with Game of the Year editions, is that they, okay, we've sold off enough of this DLC, we're going to pile it all in together, drop the price of the big game, and then say, there, everything's there. It's, it's what game we were talking about yesterday that literally happened. It was one of the reader questions. It's slipping my mind right now, but I think that's one reason why they do it. I kind of feel like the only reason they don't do this is because it's to no one's benefit profit wise. Like nobody in the company is saying like, hey, that horse armor in Oblivion, let's drop it down to $1 and then see if there's a spike out of it. I bet it's just the type of thing where they're just happy for the stuff to sit there, and then hopefully
somebody
every once in a while somebody is buying
it. I think it's multiple things where I don't think the revenue stream's great enough for them to worry about it. I don't think that it'd be similar to like if Kind of Funny launched a game. We put out a PlayStation 4 game and we put out DLC for it, and then we're not going to be actively making a million more games. So it's like maybe in 3 years we're like, oh, you know what we should do? Drop all these prices and then do like when you get to be a big company, it's peanuts. Why are you worrying about it? And then I think the bigger thing, you have bigger fish to fry. You're worried about this, and then not to mention the whole fact of the matter is there are so many hoops to jump through to work with PlayStation, Xbox, Steam to an extent. Way less on Steam, but so many that the coordination, the work, the emails, this, that, and the other. Is it worth it? Do you care? Has anybody really?
It involves more than just going into a database and taking a number down.
Yeah, it's not like you're running your I almost had it Squarespace store.
Right.
Yeah. Just go in there and dial the price for a little bit. I'm
Just
doing
tweak
sale. It's coming back up.
Yeah, totally. And I feel like with some games it doesn't make sense where you've got a marketplace which is constantly adding to it. Like for instance, Rocket League. Like it doesn't really make much sense for them to drop the old DLC because it's probably as purchasable now as it would have been when it first came out.
And that's the thing. Yeah, if you're a super active community and there's all this stuff going, why would you? Unless it's going to be a sale and you're doing a different thing. Keep it going. But
it's one of the things that we have seen a lot with digital sales becoming so normal now is stuff like The Order, right? Where, our new game is out, so here, the old one's really cheap. Or, Shadow of Mordor, we were only talking about a couple of weeks back, which was like $3 on Steam or something.
Drum up support. Let's get more people in there to remind you that this is coming out.
Totally. It almost becomes part of the marketing. Yeah. But DLC, maybe not so much.
Yeah, it's interesting. It made me think when I read it of you talking about Tokyo Jungle.
Right.
How you see all these animals you'd love to play through PlayStation Now, but they're not there. Or you can't do it that way.
I would pay any amount. Okay, maybe not any amount.
I was going to say, damn, that's what balls.
I would pay twice as much as they would expect to get from me.
Oh, okay.
Let's say that.
Okay, cool. Javier Bonet Ruiz.
Ooh, nice name.
Ruiz, who always wrote in again.
JBR.
JBR.com/. Ooh. From now on, you are JBR, because then I won't screw up your names as much, and I'll feel better about myself. Wrote into kindoffunny.com/KFGD, just like you can. It says, hello, Greg and Danny. Have you guys played Shovel Knight Spectre of Torment? I've heard much buzz around this game, although it has received great reviews. It is my indie game of the year. Greetings from Florida.
I never got into the Shovel Knight thing.
Wow, really? Okay.
It was the same as when we were talking about, was it Undertale? It was a game that it was of a specific type of like SNES experience that I sort of didn't grow up playing.
Right.
Around that time, I remember getting into Rogue Legacy, and I remember thinking, I'm playing enough platformers with knights in them.
Yeah.
I probably won't have a go at this.
I think it was an episode of Kind of Funny Games Daily that with Tim where we talked about this, where they've put out all these different DLC packs and they're putting them out for free and they're doing all this awesome shit and they're really being pro-consumer, pro-people who bought their game, which I think is awesome. Don't get me wrong. I think it's hurting them in the long run in terms of discoverability.
Right.
And again, this is very similar, I think, to Uncharted Lost Legacy in the way that I understand that they want to put the DLC out and do right by everybody. That's amazing. I've heard so many good things about Spectre of Torment and the fact that Tim played it. And again, kindoffunny.com/you're wrong if I'm wrong, because I know there's Plague Knight. And that wasn't Plague Knight wasn't as games changing as this is.
Right.
The Tim was telling me like this is a brand new game and it is awesome and it's like radical. If they could have gotten the IGN front page top at the announcement of, hey, our next game is Shovel Knight 2. Play, you know what I mean? And you don't have to put 2 on it, but hey, we're making a new thing. This is a new game, and they didn't, so they don't get that. You got a review, you get an announcement story, but there isn't it's the Uncharted Lost Legacy where it's not messaged correctly of like, hey, this is a huge thing. And if you're a fan who got it for free and are loving it, and you think I'm not doing this because money. I'm doing this because small business indie developer. I want them to be as successful as possible. I want them to. Now, you jump to the, on the other side of Yacht Club games, Shovel Knight's been on everything. It's beloved. They probably have made enough money where they don't need to worry about it. Right. And they don't need a nickel and dime,
And they probably don't want to like puff up their chests up too much as well. They're probably being humble in the way that a lot of indie crowds are.
Yeah, and I understand that, but I just... for not even the money side of it, but the publicity side of it, for the discoverability of, hey, this is happening, and hey, we already made this game, and hey, let's help everybody a little bit more. That's my one argument. And so it is heartbreaking to have him say, this is my indie game of the year, and it's like, will that actually be on people's indies game of the year, like, or game of the year lists? Probably not, because they were like, oh, it's just DLC, I don't need to worry about it.
Yeah, they've preached to their own sort of fan base, and it's a good fan base, and there's a lot of people there, and they probably gobble this thing up, and they absolutely adored it. But you're totally right. Like, there are people out there who would love to play this game. Yeah. Like, take, like you said, the money out of it, the marketing out of it. Like, there are loads of people out there who, like, would love Kind of Funny and probably haven't come across it yet, right? They probably came across it a couple of days ago and it's like, oh, okay, I got it. Like, this happens all the time with games where people just weren't listening to the right forum or weren't talking to the right people, right? Yeah. Or content or TV shows or anything, right? So when they don't market it particularly hard, or when they market it in a way that sounds like, oh, this is for people who bought the original game. The same with the Lost Legacy, right? Yeah, yeah. Because like at the start of the year, when we were talking about the games that we're really looking forward to, like nobody was really mentioning the Lost Legacy because it's just siphoned off into our head that's like DLC. I mean, some people were,
it's weird and it's not right, but it's true.
So, and I feel like the same thing has happened perhaps at these games where like I didn't even consider it because I hadn't played the first game. Yeah. And that's so in my head it's been filed into. Probably not, Yeah. And there's no shortage of other games to get crammed into, probably.
And that's, I know that I sound like a broken record this week or something with Marvel Heroes, right? But like, on the one hand, like Marvel Heroes Omega, I turned it on last night to play some more just for like 30 minutes. And it's like, oh, they've changed this thing. There's a VIP pass that I got. And like, I have Nightcrawler all of a sudden. I'm like, that's cool. But like, how do you get that message out? Now, the flip of that is that on PC, Marvel Heroes had a dynamite strategy of every year they started promoting the game as Marvel Heroes 2015, Marvel Heroes 2016, Marvel Heroes 2017. And it was like, they would go do tours and like, hey, here's the game's drastically different. And here's how we did that. And that did work. That did get them on IGN's front page. That did get them on Up at Noon. And that's the thing you lose sight of like, that's just a game update, but games as services make everything so different, right? And make do all these things. And to somebody who's not doing it right, no offense to them, and I don't know if this is the right way to do it, but Marvel Heroes was all over the place. DC Universe Online, you only hear about if you're a DC Universe Online fan, right? Like there's more. They announced more episodes at Comic-Con, and I'm following closely enough to do that. But again, if you could figure out to repurpose what DC Universe Online is, I don't know if you call it 2017 or whatever, but come back out and be like, hey, here's all this shit that's changed. Here's why you get into it. You'd see a spike in it, and there'd be something there, and more players does mean more money for the developers, but more interest means, especially with a game as service, especially with the indie studio,
Yeah.
more eyes on your product.
Makes a big difference. I mean, look, Fortnite's going to have its biggest probably week ever right now.
Right.
It's been a game that's been accessible to play for quite a long time. Like for some people, like 3 years. So, it's, I would love to play those games. It's a shame. We live in a weird world where there are plenty of amazing games you just
like, I
don't
can't
get
do
around
this.
to.
Maddie D writes in and says,
can I say one thing?
You can say anything you
Being
want.
retired is going to be fucking awesome. When we
Oh,
turn
God, you kidding me?
in our 60s and
Fuck yeah.
70s, oh my goodness.
Yeah. When
Somebody start an old person game website right now.
My dream is that Kevin wins the lottery and then just buys me out of Kind of Funny. And I just retire on out of here, and he just makes a show where he just eats pizza all the time.
He's just sitting back playing Mario Kart on the Switch.
Yeah. Matty D writes in to kindoffunny.com/KFGD just like you can and says, hi, Greg and Danny.
Hey.
I thought Greg would appreciate a quick update on WWE 2K18 for the Switch. According to IGN's Per Schneider on last week's episode of NVC, IGN confirmed with 2K that the Switch version of WWE 2K18 will be feature complete and have all the same features as the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One versions of the game. Sorry, I'm a little late with the message. I'm super lazy. Love the show. Keep up the great work. I forget if this was an episode with you when they announced it. Yeah, and I'm terrified of it.
Yeah.
I hear you. That's great. I'll believe it when I see it. And it's not because I think like anybody's like 2K's bad or like they're trying to trick us. I'm just saying, if you remember, I was also talking about hair and textures and how it's going to look and crowds, and like, I'll believe it when I see it. I would love to eat. I can't wait. I want them to come in for a Let's Play and be like, here it is, Greg.
Yeah.
Play it. And you go,
doubted
holy
us.
fucking shit.
Right.
You guys nailed it, and this is the version I'll play because it's probably the version I'll play because the trophies always suck in the WWE games. So why would I even bother trying if I'm just going to go through? I'll make little Kevin. I'll play him on the Switch. It'll be great.
Little Kevin versus Chris Benoit. He's not in those games anymore, right?
No, he's not. Wait,
Louise.
That's like saying Irish car bomb. You can't
right,
do that.
good
You don't
point.
say that anymore.
Good point.
Unless it's an Emily's away drunk thing.
Right.
Tim, you weirdo.
Do you know Kane's running for mayor?
Oh yeah. Kane's a nice dude.
Is he?
Yeah, I met him. I've met him in the professional wrestling setting before, but then it was when him and Hornswoggle were in some horror movie or whatever. He came through and
We're back on being offended.
Yeah,
Hornswoggle. Fucking.
He came in and did an IGN's Comic-Con thing and just shot the shit with me forever. I was like, totally cool. And we talked. I'm like, do you want to be Kane or Glenn Jacobs? He's like, if you don't mind Glenn Jacobs. I'm like, oh, sure, no problem.
That's right.
There we go.
What you got?
Alan E. McAdams, afternoon, Kind of Funny Games Daily. It started innocently enough. A Skyrim special edition video popped into my recommended feed on YouTube. It looked interesting. Next thing I know, 7 videos deep on the channel. Long story short, I bought Skyrim special edition and I'm 5 hours into a new game. Some questions, your choice, Greg. I'm going to run you through them all, I think.
Cool.
What are some games you just can't seem to say no to? He left out the no.
Okay.
And then when can we expect news on Elder Scrolls 6? Safe to say it will get the Fallout 4 announcement to release schedule? What are games you can't quit? Are there games you buy over and over again?
Oh yeah, like Street Fighter 2. I don't know how many versions of Street Fighter 2 I bought. I had it on I played it on Amiga growing up. I had it on like PSP. There was a bunch of really good versions, like Hyper Fighting and stuff. The Xbox 360, XBLA, they had a bunch of them. Is there a Vita one? I'm not even sure if there is. I don't think. Maybe I feel like I must have had a fighting.
There must have been. There. Yeah.
I have a ridiculous amount, and the same with Mortal Kombat. Actually, any version of Mortal Kombat 2 or 3 that turns up on any system, I'm totally getting.
For me, it's Metal Gear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm buying special editions. I'm buying this. Where you put Peace Walker somewhere, I'm gonna go buy it. I'm gonna, you know what I mean? Now Valkyria, you put in Valkyria collections. Like I know that's not the exact same, but it's those are the ones like Metal Gear 1. You know what I mean? Or Metal Gear period, all over the place. Yeah. When we see Elder Scrolls 6, I still think it'll be a while. I don't think it'll be this year. Yeah. Or I'm already I'm already thinking E3 next year. Saying this year. I don't think it'll be the next E3. I could see maybe after that you go and start pushing for it.
I can see them doing the same. Bethesda seem really happy with that release schedule window of being like, yo, it's out in 4 months. I mean, there's a lot of rumors about the idea of this unifying, game that maybe Todd Howard's working on that involves like
I hadn't heard
space travel and stuff. Yeah, like around Bethesda Land, it came up again. I forget what the title of it is. And then the fact that the motif of Bethesda Land involved a lot of stars. Yeah. In fact, it was because the card game they have, Elder Scrolls Legends, I believe it's called, had a bunch of does a lot of that stuff where it involves like the stars. But yeah, that's I think I kind of feel like it's about time for Todd Howard's team to take on something else. Like,
Sure.
you know, they've been making Elder Scrolls games now since, when did God Arena come out? Like 1995 or something. And, you know, they've done good by the Fallout franchise when they first took that. A lot of people were skeptical about what they're going to do with it. You know, they've made totally different types of games, but arguably the most popular Fallout games ever. So I don't know, like I think it's cool that they'd like to do another Elder Scrolls. I think ESO is still doing really good. Like Tamriel Unlimited killed it, and it's probably still growing. So in a way, you know, maybe that audience, they feel like they're doing enough for that audience, and the first person RPG audience, which I feel like people transition between Elder Scrolls and Fallout pretty easily. Like,
sure.
I wonder if they could make something new for those people.
I would love to see them try something new, and especially with all due respect, after Kind of Funny Life 4, after Fallout 4,
right?
Which I was like, oh, this is good, and I enjoyed myself, and it ended, and I don't remember like what are the big moments? Like I remember so many big moments from Fallout 3, even like I'm not talking about like not even story beats, but like it was so cool when this happened, and this one was like, oh, this is what I expected. This is, you know, I'd rather be surprised, and I don't. But the thing with that is that with as long as these games take, you wonder if Elder Scrolls 6 would have already been on the tracks in terms of pre-pro and where they're going, and then do they have time to turn around? And like I think, you know, hopefully The Witcher was a wake up call. Like, oh shit, like games don't need to look like our open world RPGs look.
And dynamic quests can be a lot more dynamic.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like Fallout 4, I think is absolutely incredible, but it suffers from the same problem games like Grand Theft Auto do, where we've gotten so used to this like really high quality experience that when we get a really high quality experience, if it doesn't blow us over like those original games, like Fallout 3 for a lot of people was the first time they played
for me,
you know, an open world. If you're not into the fantasy stuff, then you know, you're like, wow, I'm able to like explore this open world in first person. I mean, technically they've been doing it for like 15 years, the Elder Scrolls thing, but it was like this big breakthrough hit in the same way that Oblivion was for a lot of people as well. And like Grand Theft Auto, it's the same thing. You look at all those games. GTA 5 is like a technical fucking masterpiece.
Sure.
Like nobody has made an open world as good as that. Like some open world games perhaps like have done more interesting things, but like in terms of world building and stuff, it's
feeling
still
alive.
unbeaten. But people are like, they kind of half expected it, right? Even though they made like the biggest world and the most, you know, and 3 different characters and all this sort of stuff.
When you're just trying to one up yourself over and over and over again,
very difficult.
And especially on your 5th iteration, not counting, you know what I mean? Like it's tough. It's tough to do that and impress people.
So we're like 3 deep into Fallout. We had New Vegas 3 and 4, Elder Scrolls now. You know, I think it's kind of maybe time for them to break new ground.
Because think about it, if you just took it off and it was a new game, they're making the space thing you're talking about, which would be awesome. At the end of that, it's like, all right, cool. Do we make another one of that, or is it time to revive Elder Scroll? And I would think you actually make another one of the space thing before you do that. But
maybe. But it looks like it's Todd Howard's team. Like the one thing I like about them is they don't shit these out. Like they take their time, and they're every couple of years, and that's a really good thing. So I don't know once it's ready, you know, maybe new engine as well.
Don't when it's done. Danny?
Not to be talking about game engines. I know it's not very popular right now.
Danny, it's time to squad up.
Let's do it.
This is where one of you writes into kindoffunny.com/KFGD and tells us your PSN name, Xbox name, Steam name, whatever name, switch code, tells us why you need friends. We read it aloud here. Danny, I'm going to read one for the number 1 game for NPD in June of 2017, Tekken 7. This is a funny one. I said, the form is like, what's your name, what's your platform, what's your username? What's your name? The guy wrote, no one.
Oh.
His platform is PS4. His PSN name is the Champ21. That's 21, the numeral at the end, the Champ21.
Champ.
And here we go. Why do you need help? The Champ21. Champ21 says, Tekken 7's matchmaking sucks.
It's not enough people playing it.
Let me explain. I live in Japan and I have the US version of Tekken 7. Even if I play on my Japanese account, the Tekken 7 servers automatically sets my location to America. Why, Namco? Why? This is the only game where I have this issue. Usually games determine your location based on IP, but these fucking Namco games do not. What the fuck? Why is this a problem, you ask? Because if you want to search for lobbies or tournaments, you can only choose to search by same location or any. My location is, you guessed it, America. That means almost every room the game finds is also in America, meaning their connection is 1 bar. I usually set it to any, but the problem still persists. If I do find an Asian room, I'm kicked out almost immediately because the game says I'm American and the other Asian players think I will lag. Despite my connection being 5 bars in that room, I'm still kicked. It pisses me the fuck off.
This is a nightmare.
That means I cannot use the tournament mode without lag, meaning it's almost impossible to unlock it's almost impossible to unlock the badass rainbow aura. I also can't join a lobby in order to have some hardcore practice sessions with various playstyles. Of course, if you use the quick search function, you can search by connection quality. Why that isn't applied to every mode is beyond me. Are there any players out there that live in Asia that want to just join a lobby and have like 2 hours of semi-serious matches? Or would you like to create a tournament and beat each other senseless? I play mostly fighting games, but I'm having the most trouble finding games in Tekken 7 and Injustice 2 due to my quote-unquote location. If anybody wants to play those 2 games, please add me. Thank you, the champ 21. A spirited rant.
Please help this person out. Otherwise, they have to basically buy a new console.
Yeah, right? It's terrible.
To play their favorite genre.
Someone help the champ 21,
Oh my
please. We
gosh.
beg of you, Asian people.
That's ridiculous. Or Americans living in Asia.
Yeah.
Whatever works.
Yeah, exactly.
As long as you have your American
Well, I didn't mean,
PlayStation.
he said Asia lobby, so that's what I'm going for. I think I didn't mean like strictly Asian people.
I feel for him because I came over here with a European Xbox, but none of this nonsense happened.
it didn't happen?
I wasn't
Oh.
playing Namco. Because on Xbox, they let you change your region as well, so I could even buy stuff. Still can't do it. Like I'm Danny O'Dwyer 2 on PSN.
Ugh.
Yeah.
No, that sucks.
Couldn't
That's
transfer
not
any of my
good.
games
That's
over.
not good.
Sucks. All right. Do you want to see what we did wrong?
What do we do wrong? Remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching live on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames, you can contribute by going to kindafunny.com/you're wrong. Tell us what we screwed up like Statboy. What did we screw up?
The game we're talking about is We Play.
We Play. That was the one bundled with the
Yeah.
Wiimote that did so well.
Thank you, Real Radic. Yes, 9 mini.
Real Radic, yeah.
9 mini games came with a free extra Wiimote. You're right. I remember working in a store and selling those like hot cakes. Next one says, Danny says, our 17-year-olds constantly turning 18. Yes, that is the thing that
All
will
right.
always be. To 2017 year-to-date sales, since you mentioned it, being curious, isn't so much of a correction. It's some interesting information.
Oh, interesting information.
Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands, as you said. Legend of Zelda 2nd. For Honor. Then it's Grand Theft Auto 5, Horizon Zero Dawn, Injustice 2, Mass Effect Andromeda in 7.
Damn.
Resi 7 in 8th, NBA 2K17 in 9. I believe it was 9 this month too.
Look at-
And then Infinite Warfare.
Injustice.
solid.
Damn,
Right?
Injustice doing real well out there.
Kill
All
it.
right, go get him.
Which is pretty cool. Crash free DLC is free. Don't own the game. Just grabbed it myself for free before I get it later.
Smart. I would do that. Get on it.
Yeah, do it right now. And I think that's basically it. Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Kinda Funny Games Daily each and every weekday here on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames, youtube.com/kindafunnygames, and podcast services around the globe. We run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about before diving in, getting our hands dirty, and talking you through what's interesting about it. If you like that, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on the podcast services. Follow us on Twitch. Subscribe to us there. Remember, there is a giant all-day Twitch stream on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames. Sunday, 11 to 5 before we roll over and do Kinda Funny Live 3 giant viewing party with everyone on Patreon. So, tons of stuff happening as always. Know that we'll be back Monday with the one and only Tim Gettys to talk about all the nerdy news you need to know about. Danny will be back Wednesday.
Sure will.
That's the way it works.
Boom.
What was your homework? What are you playing this weekend? Oh, Fortnite.
A Fortnite.
You're gonna play some Fortnite? Let me know about that.
It's a real shame we didn't talk about Fortnite 14 days before it came out. That was a real good pun waiting to happen. I hope Eddie McCoo over at GameSpot.com did that.
Eddie.
Fortnite out in Fortnite. Eddie.
Until next time.
What a man.
It's been our pleasure to serve you. Bye.